We have the next panel of youth where we are going to welcome Mrs. Kshitij, Vyomini Kapse and Navya Menon. All three have done wonderful things with the society they are doing. So here Kshitij, who is mobilizing youth for empowering communities with financial knowledge, and then Vyomini is like my student, and she is really doing wonderful things. She's just recently published one book of her poems, and she has been awarded at multiple times during her school and college career. She's just 17 years old, by the way. And then there is Navya, who is a retractor, and all three of them are going to give us all the students who are there. Please listen to them and get insights. So we'll start with the Kshitij first. Over to you, Kshitij.
Yeah, okay. Hello, I am Kshitij Kamble and I am pursuing my master's in psychology. And I am a youth advisory member of two organizations, UNICEF and Antaranga Foundation. During this testing time, we at both the organizations are trying our best to spread awareness about the pandemic and vaccination. So in UNICEF, we have undertaken a program called Young Warriors, of which one part is to take orientations at various platforms where we get to converse with a large number of people. We also engage in a program called Safe Spaces at UNICEF, where we hold mental health seminars. At Antaranga Foundation, we have created a program called Vaccination Ambassadors, in which we call a large number of people to boost vaccination awareness. We also interact with young people about their difficulties and concerns during these sessions because we have been chosen to represent youth on a larger scale. So, when I was conversing with the young people, I realized that practically all of us are dealing with uncertainty. We are uncertain about many things, but financial uncertainty has had a largest impact on us in this pandemic. I have seen some organizations suffering due to lack of financing because they lost their sponsors or partners. So it is not only us, right? Even the big guys, the wealthy folks, despite their riches, are faced with this uncertainty. And as a psychology student, I can't help but notice that people's mental health is suffering as a result of this uncertainty. So currently, we tend to focus solely on economic stability when we discuss financial health, correct? But we all know that ignoring an individual's emotional well being is a recipe for disaster. This is why it is critical to embrace a fresh perspective on financial health and which considers both a person's financial security as well as emotional well-being. So problems in financial health and emotional well-being are often caused due to the anxiety of uncertainty which lies ahead. Correct. Even the mainstream media has been reporting on an increase in mental illness linked to the worsening economy. Psychiatrists and psychologists around the country are seeing increase in the patients due to this financial uncertainty. The people are having a difficult time adjusting to a new normal marked by severe uncertainty and isolation. So let's take a look at what uncertainty means. Okay, so uncertainty is defined as a presence of unpredictably changing conditions and the scarcity of the information, causing people to doubt public, general, and personal knowledge. Financial uncertainty refers to the uncertainty in the context of finances. Okay, it is a simple concept. To overcome this stress, it is vital to understand a state of positive mental health which occurs when an individual recognizes his or her own capabilities and can manage with life stresses, resulting in productive and fruitful work. So, let us take a look on some coping mechanisms which would help us to deal with such uncertainty. Okay. So we interpret anything that causes us stress as a threat to our survival. While it's been a successful strategy, it left us with a tendency to focus on the negative side of the situation. So it is really important to take a breather and assess the situation again. Entrepreneurs deal with such uncertainty on the regular basis. Successful entrepreneurs show a particular idea called as delusional optimism, where instead of focusing on negative outcomes, they focus on positive outcomes. And that is something that allows them to persist even in the difficult situation, which is extremely interesting because being in a situation like this, persisting is the main goal. Therefore, in order to persist, we have to concentrate on the positive outcomes instead of negative outcomes, as it is more handy to deal with the thoughts of positive outcomes. So, let's see how we can move from negative thoughts to positive thoughts. Okay. So, first thing that we have to do is replace expectations with proper planning. So, when we look at expectations, we try to look at something that will happen in future. Like we have no idea what will happen in future, still we try to figure things out. So, it is important to detach yourself from the future and attach yourself to the present. Because the moment you start planning, you will come to today and now. And that is exactly where we need to be in an uncertain situation. The second thing which you can do is practice mindfulness. So, mindfulness is an act of observing what all that you feel and the thoughts that you are going through without engaging in it, without involving yourself or investing your energy into the emotions rather than letting it just pass. So just observe your thoughts and emotions and just uh, go through them. So that is what we need to do in the uncertain situation. Okay. So by doing these two things, you will be able to focus on positive thoughts instead of negative thoughts. And talking to someone is another approach to deal with financial uncertainty. When we are having financial difficulties, there's a tremendous urge to bottle up everything and try to go it through all alone. Many of us consider money to be a taboo topic, one that should not be discussed with others. You might feel self conscious about sharing your income or expenditure, or ashamed of any financial mistakes you have made, or humiliated about being not able to support your family. Keeping things bottled up will just add to your financial stress. In today's economy, where many individuals are suffering through no fault of their own, you will likely discover that others are a lot more sympathetic to your struggles. Not only is talking face to face with a trusted friend or loved one a proven means of stress relief, but discussing your financial concerns honestly can help you to put things in perspective. Keeping your financial troubles to yourself simply intensifies them until they become overwhelming on us. The mere act of telling someone you trust about your difficulties might make them appear a lot less intimidating. If you are still having problems even after following these steps, I recommend you consult any type of professional. It will be definitely helpful. So, learning about the effects of current economic crisis on mental health provide us with the opportunity to strengthen our knowledge about financial literacy and mental health. So, Idobro, Rise, and Tata Capital is providing a fantastic opportunity by hosting such programs. And I'm very sure that this financial literacy program will certainly help young people like me in preparing for and coping with the challenges that lie ahead. And it was a total delight to listen to Karen ma'am, Geeta ma'am, Suhini ma'am, uh, Jitender sir, and Ayush sir. Thank you guys for inviting me. It was a wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Kshitij, for your experiences that you shared. May I have a Yomini now?
Very good afternoon to one and all present here today. My name is Vyomini Kapse. I'm 17, and thank you, Dipali ma'am, for the introduction that you provided before. I recently conducted a research on how there has been an impact of COVID-19 on the deepening gender divide. And this research compounded the importance that economics and knowing about finances has in our day to day lives. So I think it is well established now that youth financial literacy is often taken for granted. Most of the time, it doesn't really get the seriousness that it deserves. If you're not going to teach your teenage child about money, how do you expect them to manage their own money when they become adults? Financial education should be a continuous process right from childhood to adulthood. Unfortunately, not even our learning institutions seem to recognize this fact. We tend to assume that people will somehow learn about money on their own. There needs to be a paradigm shift when it comes to financial literacy. The COVID-19 pandemic has endangered millions of lives around the globe and plunged several of those millions into a financial crisis. One of the critical lessons that the pandemic has taught us is the importance of being financially prepared. Financial education is a life skill which has a direct impact on one's personal well-being. The Dhangyan program, which has been discussed in great detail by the esteemed panelists, provides youth with an opportunity to learn more about the realms of budgeting, insurance, investments, banking, borrowing, the working of the stock markets, and even retirement. Exploring these facets of financial literacy early on help mold the youth's mind and prepare them to make sound decisions in the future. Schools may not teach every student to become a financially responsible citizen, but the Dhangyan program does make up for the same. The benefits of Dhan Gyan to the youth can be classified as fourfold in nature. Firstly, making a budget. The Dhan Gyan program helps one develop a basic understanding of how the financial world works, and this in turn aids youngsters to formulate a basic budget for even the most trivial of matters in life, such as deciding which is the best possible way to spend your pocket money or how much of the pocket money should you spend in the first place. Secondly, education funds. It is essential for students to understand how funding actually works in order to be better equipped with financial knowledge before entering a university. Students must know how funds are procured, the amount of funds needed, the limitations, the various schemes in place to aid youth, so that they may be able to make well-informed decisions before heading off to a different university, a different country, and onto financial independence in a way. Third, understanding and managing debts or loans. Debts or loans have become a very popular source of financing education. And understanding the concept of cash flows, taxes, and how debts and loans work helps students plan their finances better. A clear understanding of good and bad debts would help the youth make independent decisions with regards to their finances. Lastly, retirement plan. In a developing country like India, social security is not available to the younger generation. Hence, even though retirement sounds as one of those far off things, to live comfortably even after retirement, one needs to save and invest as soon as they start earning. In other words, one needs to earn their financial freedom. Most programs in the field of economics tend to have something known as unintended consequences. And some of these following unintended consequences of the Dhangyan program could encourage more youngsters to explore the same. The most important one being the Dhangyan program empowers youth. Information is power, right? The same thing applies to financial matters. Why do we go to school to learn about science, mathematics, and history? The answer is to empower us in those respective areas. Similarly, education about money being given the same priority as these other disciplines helps empower young people about money and how it actually works. Secondly, financial illiteracy can breed ill equipped adults. Statistics indicate that young people who never received proper education on finances end up as irresponsible adults, particularly on financial matters. These behaviors are contrary to those of adults who were taught about money management while they were young. Such people are able to make informed financial decisions in their adulthood simply because they had a strong financial foundation in their youth. Third, lack of financial education makes it easy for youth to pick up bad financial habits. Often, young people involved in poor money habits, such as gambling, have had no or poor backgrounds in financial literacy. They can be easily influenced by others to engage in other poor financial habits. A person with a proper financial background won't be easily lured to participate in activities such as gambling and Ponzi schemes, which are basically investment frauds. And lastly, financial literacy helps to better prepare the youth for emergencies, much like the one we are in right now. Sometimes we are caught up in urgent situations that require large amounts of money. For a young person who is financially literate, it becomes a little easier to maneuver and come out of the situation compared to someone who is financially illiterate. Truth be told, the importance of financial literacy for our youth cannot be overemphasized. There's nothing as dangerous as a financially illiterate youth. teaching young people about money at an early age will impart them with vital knowledge and skills that will assist them to make informed decisions when it comes to financial matters. And this has been made possible by the Dhan Gyan program, which is pivotal for this cause. I would like to thank Rise Foundation and Tata Capital for this amazing opportunity, and all the panelists present here for all their incredible insights. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Vyomini, for having this stepwise guidance to my, the youth that you're listening to you and all of them. It was such a apt information that you provided and wonderfully, written, scripted, and delivered. Thank you so much, Vyomini. Let's welcome Navya.
So thank you so much, Dipali ma'am, for this opportunity that you've given me. So let me speak about financial literacy. But before that, when I used to hear about, when people hear about the word finance, they find it intimidating, which even turns into panic and fear. For me, finance had the same definition when I was a 14-year-old who was trying to wrap her head around some really confusing words such as Nifty, mutual funds, Sensex, interest rates, mortgage, and some similarly perplexing words that kept popping up on business news channels. Let me share a small anecdote with you. When I was in school, just like any other teenager, I enjoyed watching shows or movies that practically added no value to my knowledge and growth. Over a period of time, my grades started deteriorating, and that's when my mother realized that she had to take matters into her own hands. Gradually, she asked me to read newspapers and watch news channels instead of spending more time on phone or watching movies. Initially, I was reluctant, and to a certain extent, it became very difficult for me to cope with so much information that was being thrown at me. Slowly and steadily, I started maintaining a financial glossary which contained all the terms that I came across on a regular basis, and soon YouTube and Investopedia became my Bible of learning. The bottom line of this story is that I developed an interest in finance primarily because my mother pushed me right into it. Similarly, if our education system could take small strides in pushing people to learn about money and savings, I don't think the youth of this country would have to worry so much about their finances. So when I heard about the new education policy that India is planning to adopt and the possible inclusion of financial literacy as a subject, I was quite elated because when I was in school, we were asked to memorize the periodic table a few nights before exams or how to draw triangles using a compass and so many similar topics which practically hold no value as you step outside of school. And I often wish that instead of these concepts, we were taught about the 50-30-20 rule of budgeting or the refined formula of savings, that is income minus savings equals to expenditure. I think I would have to rely less on the finance content creators for additional knowledge. I've always, another observation that I've made is that finance has been a taboo in Indian households. We don't really talk about money, and even if we do, our parents chide us that you study or stay in school, study hard, don't worry about finances. These are some common words that we hear, but we seldom question them or even ourselves about how can we start accumulating wealth or start saving, because we millennials have big dreams, and to achieve them, money plays a crucial role. And unfortunately, we are a generation that believes in flamboyance, spendthrift nature, and the deceptive power of social media, which sadly doesn't help us pay off bills. And as far as savings are concerned, I inculcated the habit of saving when I saw my grandfather and his obsession with fixed deposits, which taught me a very important skill or an important concept of personal finance, that is the power of compounding, which is unfortunately losing a lot of importance amidst this 21 din mein paisa double concept that young people have in their minds. One more observation that I've made is that in this pandemic, we have been compelled to reevaluate our financial decisions and the portfolios that we've made. The concept of emergency funds have started becoming extremely popular, and people have realized that there's so much uncertainty around. So insurance have also become very popular, and people know how important it is to have an insurance in your portfolio. Many think that financial literacy is all about analyzing stocks and investing in the stock market, which is totally untrue. The ability to make sound financial decisions and tracking your expenses form the core of being financially literate. You'll be surprised to know that finance or learning about finance can help you explore human psychology. I remember listening to this podcast on TEDx that was about this accountant sharing his experience of his addiction to chocolate and how he could identify as well as work on reducing that addiction simply by tracking his expenses. Now, that is the beauty of personal finance. In the end, I always wish that there was someone who handheld me, who taught me about this humongous world of finance, and who would have guided me. Now, as I grow up, I frown at the mere thought of visiting banks or filing my tax returns, or even the possibility of making a wrong financial decision. Now, these are some things, these are very unpleasant thoughts that even turn into panic. And I think that's where our education system could play a significant role because, in the words of Malcolm, education is our passport to future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. Thank you, and thank you, Dipali ma'am, and the entire organization for giving me this opportunity.
You're most welcome, Navya. And you rightly said that this future is driven by the choices of youth and it will create a generational change. So, thank you, all three of you, Kshitij, Vyomini, and Navya, for being part of this panel and giving all the students then insights and the future of this financial literacy. Thank you so much.